What's happening, people? It's Everton versus Tottenham this weekend. Here's your opposition preview, which, as always, is available on YouTube, but also multi-platform. So let us know where you're listening from. And for this opposition preview, I'm delighted to be joined by Everton fan in Dan, who has his own podcast. Dan, firstly, how are you? And talk to people a little bit about what you do across social media with the podcast.
You're right. Well, I'm just an Everton fan that thought I'd start a YouTube channel and reach out to other Everton fans. And it started pretty small, and now we've got a lot of regulars that follow the channel, and we do the pre-match shows and the after shows, and we often get opposition fans on the channel. I mean, it started small, but we're doing well with it. It's got like 6,000 followers on YouTube. We've got TikTok as well now, Toffee Bluecast this is, and Facebook page Toffee Bluecast as well. So I just wanted to connect Everton fans, and it's definitely doing that. So I have Paul that does it with me as well. So we've got a tag team on that, and other people that do it with us. That's what we do, similar to you, mate.
Oh, fantastic stuff. As always, wish you all the best with it. I know this is not the first time, and it certainly won't be the last that we have collaborated. I can't remember when I come on your channel last year, what numbers you're at, but I know you've grown quite a bit either way.
We had Begovic on last season, and then we had this season. I think it was probably a month ago. I had the guy that designed the new Everton stadium on, the guy that
Wow.
actually designed it on paper. So I was really impressed with that guest, because that was a big guest for me, because he designed the new stadium that we've got. So that was a big one.
Wow, that's absolutely huge. So thank you for your time today. And as always, all the best, but it should be a good one today. But that reminds me to tell people listening that I've got an interview that I've recorded and will be out Thursday, 6:15 p.m. is where it premieres across all socials, where I interviewed former Spurs player and captain Steve Perringham, who's made the most appearances for the club out of anyone. So that should be a really good interview. So do check that out. But if you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. That is, if you're listening via audio platforms, so many different platforms that the podcast is on. I actually didn't know about myself. So, let us know where you're listening from, as I did say, and drop us a follow and a 5-star review. Dan, let's start with a season review then. So, if people haven't seen it in terms of an Everton point of view, you find yourselves in the Premier League in 12th place. And in that competition in the Premier League, 11 points from 8 games, 0 goal difference, 9 goals scored, and 9 goals conceded. You've won 3 games, you've drawn 2, and you've lost 3. In the Carabao Cup, you're knocked out in round 3 by Wolves with a 2-0 defeat. So what are your thoughts so far, Dan?
It's definitely better. I mean, with the transfer window that we had, some people probably still thought Everton would be a bottom of the league club, fighting relegation. Not the case. We finished the season strong with David Moyes, and then we went and had a really good transfer window on top of that as well. So finishing the season strong, beating teams like Newcastle that wanted Champions League and Arsenal not being able to beat us, we knew we was going into this season strong. And to top that off, we signed Jack Grealish, we signed Diblin, we signed Merlin Roll, a new young centre midfielder. We signed Barry. He's a young lad that will need time as well, 30 million for a striker. So for us, that was a big transfer window going into the start of the season. So it was high expectation for us this season, although some people probably wouldn't think that would be that. Dewsbury Hall as well, another one to mention. That was a good signing as well, Dewsbury Hall. So as all them players, it's a good transfer window. So yeah, it was good players in. As you know yourself, you've got to wait for those players to gel when you bring them in. So you knew it wasn't going to happen straight away at the start of the season. Luckily, because some of the Everton fans was worried about the new stadium. Would it feel our own? Would it feel like we're at home? Luckily, the first game was really good and we won, and we've been unbeaten at the Hill Dickinson Stadium this season. So that's really good to have a new stadium and not get beat there, and it makes it feel like a home when you're getting results. So that's massive. But like you say, we did get knocked out the cup by Wolves, which was when they wasn't winning games at all, frustrating. But it can happen in the cup sometimes when you rest players. But other than that, we're having a good season, I think. I mean, if you asked before last game, I think we was like top half at the minute because it's early. Just losing a game can take you down, can't it? Because there's not that many points yet stacked. But I've been saying to Everton fans, Europa League conference at least needs to be the goal this season. And some people will probably think you're mad for saying that. But if we're to get the money to sign Jack Grealish, we'll need Europa League money. And if we're to keep players like Illiman and Jai, who's been playing fantastic, we'll also need to make sure that we get Europa League, because these are big players that we've got now. So, yeah, really good. Happy with the way we're going. But we do need to put a few more points, I'd say. The only concern that if you wanted to know what's the concern for an Everton fan at the minute, which probably a lot know, is that a lot of Everton fans ain't keen on Beto because he hasn't been performing, and Barry is also young. When he's played, hasn't really settled in yet. So we're playing fantastic without a striker at the minute. That's what it feels like. So we're frustrated that we haven't got the missing piece of the jigsaw to make us a real threat this season.
I mean, how many times has David Moyes been there in his managerial career, especially of late, where his team have been very good and he's done very good, but he hasn't had that striker that he needs to take his side to the next level. We saw at West Ham how long it took, to bring in that striker. So that's an ongoing situation for him. But with you mentioned there in terms of potentially getting Conference League, that should be the aim. I certainly think you've got the manager for it, and you've probably got the players for it too. Key players, so Garski, Brathwaite, mentioned then Dye, Grealish. These are all top players. So you say you think the aim should be that. Do you think, it will be come the end of the year? And of course, a lot of that will be dependent on injuries and games. A lot can change from now to then. So you say that should be the aim. Do you think that will be David Moyes' aim and the Everton players' aim to get Europe?
I think some people would accept it if we didn't get it, because that manager, with where we was seasons before, it's a big step to just go to say, staying up, to actually saying, let's get Europa League conference, because there's a lot of good teams in the Premier League now. The Premier League is very competitive. So it'd be really hard to get it, because you've got Tottenham, you've got even your teams like Bournemouth now are performing well. A lot of teams like Fulham are performing well. To get Europa League conference, I think, is harder than it's ever been now. But definitely has to be the goal for me. And I do, like you said, it's not just what I want. I do think it's possible. If our players perform to the best they can play, I believe we can compete with anyone with the players that we've got to get that actual position. Just, it's always injuries, though. As you know from last season, injuries is massive. Brathwaite was supposed to come back. He's had to have an operation now, Brathwaite has. And that's knocked his coming back more. Luckily, Michael Keane's actually playing well this season, but you do need your players to stay fit. You start losing Jack Grealish and Jai, or some key players, Europa League conference can be off. So, yeah, you've got a bigger squad than us, so it'll be harder for us, I think, than you. I think your expectation of it would be higher, but I think if we can keep our smaller squad fit, we'll have a good chance.
That's fair. I agree with that, to be honest with you. I think you definitely have players that maybe that are better than what we've got, but we'd certainly have a little bit more maybe of that, a little bit more depth, is the right word, the right way of putting it too. But you mentioned him there, but I want to keep, say a little bit more about Jack Grealish, because I just look at that and, when you think you could come back and look at this in a few months and go, that was the difference. And whatever that may be in Everton's goal, Grealish just feels like that type of player that gets you, to that next level. We talk about teams playing, to another level, another gear. This, for me, is an example of that. And a player I would have loved to see at Tottenham, because we simply didn't replace Son. So how good has Grealish been so far? And, how far can he go this season? Of course, he started well, but, can he get even better and have an even bigger impact, maybe get more goals as well as assists?
On the Toffee Bluecast, before we signed him, obviously there's speculation on your channel before you get the player. And I said on the Toffee Bluecast, I said, this is a man where Manchester City play the Manchester City way. But if Jack Grealish does leave, you'll see the Jack Grealish at Aston Villa. And I just wanted to see the Jack Grealish with no control, just saying, you be you, and we'll play around you, and you be the main player. So when we signed him, a couple of Everton fans was wary, because obviously they'd say he likes drinking, he's finished, he's on his way down now, he's a finished player. But I said he would not like being dropped at Man City. I knew he wouldn't, and he'd be a man on a mission. So when we got him, I knew it would be a cracking sign, and I really did. And I'm proved to be right. And I thought he'd be good for us. I didn't realise how good he was until we signed him. When you actually got your player and you're watching him, he's got that thing where once he squares up against any player, they back off. And Everton haven't had that for a long time. It puts you in control because once he squares up and gets the ball, which Jack Grealish, people don't want to jump in on him because they'll either foul him or he'll take them on. And it's the same with Ilimanjai on the other side. But the way he's been, I can't remember how many assists he's got. I'm pretty sure you'll know, but he's got a lot of assists. I think he was on like 4 in 4 games at one point. And
yeah, I think
it's 4. As well.
He's doing really well.
Start. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I just think that I'm happy in my club's transfer window, but I look at Grealish and go, we didn't replace Song. Could that have been someone we'd gone for and maybe been a little bit more ambitious? We couldn't get Savinha. Could we have got Grealish? And, did that have a part to play as well? We're City ever going to let both go? But do you think, before we move on from Grealish, that some players, and maybe Grealish is an example of this, don't necessarily need all this about tactics, and they're just better to just go and play football, enjoy what they do, and just say, look, you're a top player. And, I know it's not as simple as that, but you get what I'm kind of saying. And in terms of don't overcomplicate things, I think Grealish is best when he's given minutes, he's, allowed to do what he does best, run at players, take them on, dribble the ball. He has amazing, close ball control. So do you think it's a case of David Moyes has maybe let him play kind of his way and with the handbrake off in terms of, I don't mean like, attacking football, but it's Grealish individually and maybe his roles, he's allowed to do a little bit more what he wants, because of course City is just like everyone else, whereas he comes to Everton, he's one of your better players.
First of all, he's come to Everton and every fan's fallen in love with him straight away from minute one, and that's a massive thing. He said in the press conference, he said he was falling out in love with football, because I think even he questioned himself when Manchester City wasn't playing him. Even he probably thought to himself, am I finished? But he's come to Everton, and Everton fans, after seeing him play after that first game, have made him feel so welcome. So that's going to get your confidence up as a player. And then on top of that, on what you're saying, Everton, David Moyes has said you're allowed to make a mistake. You know what I mean? And I think Pep's brutal on Man City. Once you make it, you have to play Pep's way. You make a mistake, he'll jump on you. He'll probably get you after the game in your face if you make a mistake. And Everton believe in Jack Grealish that much that we've said you're allowed to make a mistake. You be you take control and just do what you do. And that's why you're seeing the Jack Grealish now, because he's allowed to do what he wants. And if you let him do what he wants, he does a lot of good stuff. And that's what's been happening. And he doesn't make mistakes. Like I say, allowed to make a mistake. But I think when he takes those risks of making a mistake, that's when we can unlock teams. That's when he can get the assists. That's when it puts other teams in trouble. Because you watch football, when football's predictable, you just pass it about, you pass it about, and you don't unlock teams, and it's boring, and you can't break teams down. But Jack Grealish don't do that. He likes to cut the lines. He likes to pull people in, drag people, get free kicks. So he's been really successful for us, and I can't praise him enough. In fact, some of my mates, they're like, "Will you shut up about Jack Grealish because he's been that good?" I've got a little bit of an obsession for him, but we have got another good man on the other side. But we've had him before and know what he is. But Jack Grealish on the left, he's been sensational.
Exactly, that kind of player that gets you off your seat, and I just think he's a class guy and class act as well as a player. So I could see him enjoying his football, and you can tell whether it be social media posts, he's smiling on the pitch, and the way he speaks, he's having a good time. But on David Moyes, Dan, how do you think he's done since being reappointed, and what's the opinion like now on him from your point of view, and maybe if you have an idea of what other Everton fans think compared to when he was appointed?
Well, when we had David Moyes before, and he did well with us before, because we never used to spend a lot back in the day. So we had a low budget, and he always got us 5th positions. He did actually get us 4th once in Champions League. So he got us in Europa League, he got us in Champions League. So we did well with David Moyes. He's come back, and as a fan, you forget how good he was when you had him back in the day. Do you know what I mean? When he went to Man United, you forget how good he was. And I think because we've had such bad managers before, with like Sean Dyche and other managers, Benitez, you really do appreciate a good manager when you get one. And David Moyes has come in, he's put confidence into all the players. We're allowed to pass the ball now. We do pass the ball. But the main thing with David Moyes, I think, it feels like we've got a manager where you're safe. As a fan, I used to watch Everton and I used to think, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. But David Moyes is way above my knowledge of football, where you don't think you're the manager. You just watch him and you think Moyes has got this under control. he knows what he's doing. He's been in the Premier League a long time. And the good thing about David Moyes that I do like is he's got every player under control. If someone's not in the position, he's shouting on the sideline. He's very clever. He's more clever than what you think. Because David Moyes, you think safe, basic. Probably a lot of people wouldn't want him as manager. The West Ham fans didn't want him, and now they're crying for him to come back. But because he's a bit safe and his football is just do what you've got to do, some people don't think that's attractive. But he bags points, Harry. He bags points. And I think you can't complain about him at the end of the season because he does bag a lot of points, which West Ham ain't doing now, and we are.
Exactly. Football's a results-based business. Well, I don't mean this, well, maybe I do, but I don't mean it in a nasty, nasty way. But West Ham fans deserve what they're getting right now. It's as simple as that. If you throw your toys out the pram when you've got a manager that's come in and won a trophy with you, massively punching above your weight, and you even suggest the idea of moving on, I think they absolutely deserve that. So it's good to see him doing well. Before we move on to the game,
It did him just one thing. It did for me. It did David Moyes when West Ham started to get a solid team, and then they started bringing in a couple of elite names like Paqueta, and they expected even more from David Moyes then. And I think that's when it did him because the owners started thinking, the fans and the owners started thinking, oh, we should be playing pretty football. We're too good for David Moyes. We've signed these fancy players, and all of a sudden they sacked David Moyes and they've stopped buying fancy players and they've just gone massively downhill. And that's not disrespecting West Ham fans because I know a lot and they're saying the exact same thing. That is just what it is. They are saying it's karma. Some of them are saying it's karma on us. We shouldn't have got rid of David Moyes. We'd be okay if we had him.
It feels like a massive split right now within the West Ham fan base. So I think it's a genuine possibility, even though the manager they were appointed, they could go down. But Dan, before we get on to the game, a couple of general questions. I want to know firstly, and I want you to be honest about this. How do you view Tottenham as a club and their supporters too? Is it a case of respect, envy, or not really caring?
I don't mind Tottenham, Obviously, I'll be honest. If I had a big grudge against you, I'd come at you right now and tell you what I think about you. I don't mind Tottenham. I've been on your channel a couple of times, Anta, when we spoke about the Tottenham and no, I've got no rivalry with Tottenham. We do have some good games as well. I have been watching Tottenham. Did you say what do I think? How you've been performing?
No, what do you think of the club, Tottenham as a whole, but also their supporters and maybe any history you've had, or just how do you view them generally?
I watched the. I'm not sure. I think it was Gary Neville that interviewed your owner. I watched that. That was an interesting interview. I don't know if you watched that as well. It was interesting because you got to see what happens in the stadium and how much your owner did care a little bit. Where sometimes you think he don't care because he doesn't get you your players you want. When you actually watched him in the Gary Neville interview, he does care. He's got pride in everything. Like all the bits from the old stadium was in the floor, and he said the brewery, you make your own alcohol. He's done it this way, and there was a concert going on at your new stadium where it's got 3 different floors, one for the football, one for the concert, where all the and I thought the way he was telling it and how proud he was, I thought fair play, and Tottenham, like I say, very successful, doing things well, beautiful stadium. I was interested to see that the owner, I don't know, you could probably tell me more, he'd taken himself off the board or something like that, didn't he? He isn't leaving or anything, is he? Or
so what you're talking about is chairman at the time, executive chairman Daniel Levy. He done that interview Gary Neville, but since he's been sacked. Really, they've labelled it as he stepped down, but from what it looks like, he's been forced out because the owners ENIC are pushing this idea of sustained sporting success. All this competing all 4 fronts, and they saying. With really chuck Levy out, and from several reports, they're saying that Levy's not allowed back in the training ground, even though he has a little bit of a stake in ENIC, the owners. So it's a bit of a confusing situation, but it's a completely new look Tottenham board, even since that interview, Dan. We've got now a non-executive chairman in Peter Charrington. We've got new CEO in Vinay from Arsenal. So there's been several changes. I read 2 more were appointed today as well. I think one marketing and one sports science. So it looks like a new look Tottenham. But you're right, that interview was incredibly fascinating with Levy. It's an eye-opener both ways, whatever you do think of him. But unfortunately for him, a few weeks later, literally after that, he was out the door. It looks like he was sacked, but they never label it up.
I thought he massively had a share in your club and was like 50% owner. I didn't realise he was only a small part and that there was people massively above him. new to me.
It's so confusing because you've got the shares in ENIC, then you've got the shares in the club, and I think as fans, I'll hold my hands up. I don't totally know whether it's Levy has the share in ENIC or Tottenham Hotspur. From what I can gather, I think it's ENIC, but it's all split into these tiny fractions. It's confusing.
Whenever I spoke to Tottenham fans, I've been on your Tottenham podcast with your friends, other Tottenham fans. They're always moan. If there's a moan, it's about Levy. It's like he's the owner. There's never talk that there's another owner. So I only presumed, even though I know a lot about football, that he was the man. Because if anyone ever spoke about Tottenham saying, "Oh, they're not signing one," it's Levi's fault, Levy or whatever his name is. It's his fault. So I presumed he was the owner. Interesting.
A lot of it is because I think it's because he's the chairman. He seems to be the figurehead. He's the one that, put a name to the face kind of thing. He's the one that seems to be the push behind the hotels, the things away from football, which is fine. But people did tend to pinpoint it on him that the football club was like kind of second. And I think it might just be a coincidence. It's hard to know. But where he definitely was accountable as chairman was the sackings of appointments. And we've got quite a few things wrong, in my opinion, anyway, from sacking Pochettino to Mourinho for a cup final, or the appointment of Nuno in that time. There's a few things like that. You're like, really? But sometimes they're a puppet head for the owners.
It's interesting you say that, because I was speaking to a Tottenham fan in the pub, and I did see you put something on X on it as well. I think that was a cracking decision from you to sack the manager the moment he won a cup. Because if you had him this season in the Premier League, I do not think you would have been good. And as much as you love him because he won a cup, I don't think he would perform well for you in the Premier League. And I think for you to have gone out and got the fantastic manager you've got now, a real good manager, for you to have gone out straight away, been productive, because normally people wait. We see Man United win the cup and keep the manager and sack him further down the line. And it's just backtracking just because he's won the cup. But I think for Spurs to be proactive, and straight away say, you know what, he's won us the cup, but he's not going to be good enough in the Premier League. We want a good manager in the Premier League, and we don't want to wait to have a good manager. We're going to do it straight away. And trust me, you've got a fantastic... I would have loved him at Everton. I'm happy with Moyes, but he's who I wanted, your manager. And I think over time, I think he's been good for you anyway, but I think over time he's going to be... What an appointment that is. And that could be an appointment where he stops you changing managers all the time, because I think Spurs... I brought him in for a proper plan and a long term. He's not one you'll want to get rid of.
Totally agree. I wouldn't have before Andrew's appointed, and I'll be honest with you, because I think a lot of it's the moment, because you've won the Europa League and it's so significant for a club like Tottenham. Be honest with you, it's first trophy I've seen in my lifetime. We have an issue and have a problem for quite a few years with winning trophies under these owners. So a lot of it, as you said, is in the moment. But you look back and you look at Ange at Forest, and I get he only had 8 games, 39 days. And it's a complete contrast in style and system. I think the problems at Forest go further than the manager at this stage. But the point is, you're right. We would have been struggling in the Premier League. As simple as that. And Frank, I think, has done a great job.
Do you know all that anger from last season? Because you won a cup and you think he's won us a cup in so long, and you had a lot of stick for not winning a cup. But all that anger that your fans had on him because you had such a bad season, where you finished was really bad. All that anger would not gone away. So the moment that Poch started not getting results, not Poch, sorry, the moment that he started not getting results, your fans would still have that anger for him. Do you know what I mean? And they'd think to themselves, the Spurs fans would think, we're going to finish crap again this season, what he did the season before. Do you know what I mean? You still got that in your system. So I think it was good to just tie that off. He won your cup, fantastic. You've ticked the cup off. But I do think that your fans would have jumped on him again, and you would have had a bad season with him again. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I'll stand by you with that. Can I ask you if you have any past memories? They could be good, which often opposition fans choose, but also they can be bad, of playing Spurs from an Everton point of view that you'd like to share. Maybe games you've been at or you've watched on TV.
Trying to think of that many games that we've had that have been good games, haven't they? Do you know what? I did like the game last season, and I know it's only going a recent one, but I did like the one where Ellerman and Jai ripped me up last season and ran straight through the middle. That was it will stay with me, because we was having a bit of a downfall last season, and Ellerman and Jai just ran and took a couple of your players on and smashed it in, and we needed that. And Ellerman and Jai lifted his hands and he was like, "Don't worry, I've got you." And we went on a good streak after that, so that was fantastic. But another game that always stays in my head, I can't remember the score, but when we played in the cup. And we scored, you scored. I think you won 4-3 in the end, but it was one of the best cup games I think I ever remember.
I was
We
just going to
scored,
say,
you
was it be
scored,
that
we
one?
scored.
I think I got a feeling I could be wrong, but I think it was under Mourinho. I thought you won. Was it 5-4? I could be totally wrong. I need to
Yeah,
have
it
a
was
look now.
something
But
like that. I can't remember.
crazy,
I
wasn't
know.
it?
Yeah, I should remember it. Yeah, but there was that many goals. I can't remember it. But it was back and forward. Us, you, us, you. You had a
Yeah.
centre back that you used to have. I can't remember his name. He was quite good and strong. Who was he?
Oh,
He
Sancho.
was
I can't
good as
remember who
well.
it
But
was.
we have struggled. We've struggled against Tottenham for a long time. I think
Mm.
personally, Tottenham have always been strong, and you've always had good results against us. I can remember when Lennon used to run rings around us. We have struggled with you back in the day. When I think back, Lennon used to be good for you. You've had some good players. Just a team that hasn't won a trophy, but you've always been strong, haven't you? But I did have a
Mm.
soft spot for Tottenham because I did like you when you had that transfer window where you sold Gareth Bale and you brought like 10 players that was like good players. And the player that I liked that you brought that I really wanted was Ericsson. I knew he was good, and I really wanted him because it was a cheap price that you brought Ericsson for. But he's just a proper craftsman, wasn't he? But you had a lot of good players that you brought there, like a lot of good players you brought in. You would think back now when I listen to some podcasts, the players that you had, because you see a lot of football players when they're interviewed. Who's the best player you ever known? Dembele. And I don't think you realise how elite some of your players was, and you probably should have done better back in the day when you had all those players.
So you're absolutely right, but then you flip that and go, look, you look at that now because maybe the manager got a lot out of the players. You look back and he maybe turns them into really good players, and then you look back and
Yeah.
go, it's difficult, isn't it? Because is it a case of, and it looks that way, that Tottenham had a great team and just nearly could have got over the line, or is it they just got a lot out of these players? And the reason why he had a good career, you never really know.
Modric, you had
Modric.
Modric as well. Look how many trophies he's gone on to win as well. So I don't think that's even the manager, is it? Because Modric went on and he went and won. Like you've had some very Gareth Bale. You've had some very elite players, haven't you? So you've had a lot of elite players, some really good players. You've had Harry Kane. You've had some cracking players.
Been lucky, really. But I'm just having a look here. It was 5-4 to you, actually. Everton, Goodison Park.
Oh yeah,
February 2021. How quick has that gone? Wow.
Yeah, I know. Feels like it was yesterday.
It does. What a crazy game, though. That's, I think, a very good one to pick out. But, Dan, who's the one Spurs player you take at Everton right now? If I said you could just choose one, who would it be and why?
It's interesting because I'm really happy with my team now. If you asked me that back in the day, I would have took a lot of your players. I'd be like, yeah, I'd have Madison, but we've got Dewsbury Hall now, which I'm quite happy with. And I would
Any
have had a
weak
lot of
spot?
wingers. I'm happy with my wingers. Yeah, there is one player that I would definitely have. One player, and I'd love him. To be fair, Porro. I think Porro is fantastic.
Okay.
And we need a right back as well. So Porro, not just because we need a right back, by the way. I generally think Porro is an elite right back. I think he's fast, strong, and he's got a wicked shot on him as well. Good attacking. I don't know what you think of him, but I just see him as a really good right back. Even when you were struggling, he was still playing well.
I really like Porro. I think he's great. And I think he's one of those players that gets too much criticism, especially from Spurs fans, because he's got, I say, a problem. He's better offensively than defensively. Let's put it that way. But I think people forget just how good he is going forward. So they're very critical of his mistakes defensively. But I'd remind people that he started off as more of a right wing back, and if anything, a right winger. So for him to be this really touch tight defender in the back four doesn't really suit him. He started playing at a 5. If we go back to his Sporting days, for example, and I believe that's why it didn't work out for him at City the short time he was there, because they wanted to play a back 4 and he was just used to a back 5. But I think he's a great Dan, I really do, and I just think he's Mr. Consistent, and it just bleeds passion. He plays for the badge, and I think that'd be the same whatever team he's at. So that's a really good shout, actually. Would you have a close second, or do you have anyone in mind if you couldn't choose Porro?
This is probably not a player that I'd want, but I did think last season when you signed Spence, I couldn't believe you wasn't playing him. And I knew Spence was good. And it shocked me that you wasn't playing him that much. Left back, especially when you were struggling for left back players because Undogi was injured and you wasn't even playing him. And I was like, why are they not playing this? And then I started to believe that he was crap. And then you started believing in him this season, and all Spurs fans love him now. And I watched him. I think I watched him your last game. He's incredible. So to not have played him and to have had Spence, I think he's a cracking left back as well. I know I've gone defenders, but as an Everton fan, I'm really happy with my midfield. We need left backs and right backs, so I've gone for your left back and right back there that I like because I do think they're good, Spence and Porro. I would love for you to have had a striker that I wanted, but you haven't. I mean, maybe I would want Solanke, but he's injured a lot, so I can't really say I want him because he is injured a lot for you. I would definitely have Richarlison back. Some Everton fans would moan for me for saying that, but I wouldn't pay a lot of money for him. I'd probably have him back on loan. So they'd be the players, probably Porro, Richarlison, and maybe Spence. But I'm happy with a lot of Everton players.
Good shouts. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. So on to the game itself, Dan. How do you feel about the game this weekend, firstly?
Excited. I can't believe I didn't mention Kudos. Kudos might slip in there as well. I forgot you had him. Yeah, he's decent.
Yeah.
I love him. I forgot about him, but I would slip him in. Yeah, I'm ready for it, mate. We've had a couple of dodgy results, and we beat Crystal Palace. They was unbeaten all season. We beat them, so I can't really moan about that. I just want to point that out. That was a cracking result for us because no one could beat them, and we did. But then we went and got beat by Man City after. But when you're against Haaland, you can't really. Sometimes you've got to put your hands up, haven't you? We played well in that. In the first half, we should have scored. We didn't. Then second half, they scored 2. So we started the half well. So I do believe we're ready for some big teams. I was ready for the challenger Man City, and now I'm ready for you. Like you said, what do I think about this Spurs game? I'm ready for Spurs, but I do think it's a hard game. But I think it's an interesting game because there's some proper ballers coming up against each other. You know, like there's some good clashes all over. Like it's going to be a good game. It's not a game where you'd normally think, oh, Spurs are against Everton, we're going to sit back, and that's what it would normally be. But it's like Spurs are against Everton. You've got Kudus, he's amazing. We've got Grealish, he's amazing. You've got other players, they're amazing. We've got Njai, he's amazing. So it's an exciting game, this is. I'm looking forward to it. Probably been 0-0 now, I've said that, but I'm looking forward to it.
No, it should be good. It tends to be always goals, isn't there? Either way, so we hope that does continue. Dan, are there any Spurs players you fear, ones that could cause you the most problems? Of course, you've spoken about the ones that you take at Everton, but in this game in particular, who can hurt Everton and disrupt your chances of winning this game?
I think Kudus is always one you've got to watch out for because I think when he's on it, he can take about 4 or 5 players on. And if he gets it, when I've watched Kudus for you, I feel that he'd be more threatening if you had him in the 10 position. But you playing that far out wide, he's assisting and not running at the centre backs. And I don't mind if you do that because when I'm watching Kudus, he's staying out wide and he is effective and he's just putting good balls in the box. But sometimes I feel he doesn't get into the game probably as much as you want him to. And I feel if he stays out wide with Mikalenko, I'm happy. But if he starts running through that middle at Michael Keane and through Pascal Gay, I'd be threatened by Kudus more. So we've got to handle him. You centre midfielders. I know where you say what players am I worried about. I think you've got some good centre midfielders now. So it's whether we can beat you in that battle of centre midfield. That's not just one player. It's like you've got Paulinho, which is a fantastic signing. I think that's a big boost to strengthen your centre up now. So I think we can do you out wide, but you could do us through the middle. So it's going to be an interesting battle there.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. Good point actually about Kudus. He was struggling really for that creative player at the moment. Simmons has taken a while to settle in, so maybe something that Frank could do to free up space in other areas too. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But who comes in on that right hand side? That's why I don't think it will happen. There's Brennan Johnson. Don't get me wrong, Tottenham's top scorer last year, but when he's been relied upon this year, he's been okay. He's had some games impacted, but not as much in the last game. But on to Everton. Can I get your predicted 11 firstly, Dan? What you think that David Moyes will go with?
Well, Branthwaite's still injured, so Branthwaite's not back. Merlin Rowe, he's just started a game last game, so he got a few minutes under his belt. So they are the options at the minute. Everyone else is pretty much available. So it will. I'd say I'd be right in my lineup. That's the good thing about us now. We're starting to know our lineup, and I think that's good because when you keep changing it all the time, you can't be consistent. So it'll be Pickford in goals. It'll be Mikalenko left back. He's fit again. Michael Keane left back, who we're all happy with, by the way. I was convinced there was no player in that man, but he's proven me wrong a little bit. He's just got to do it all the time. Tarkowski, right back. Jake O'Brien, obviously he's a centre back, but he's been playing there. No one else plays there for us, really. We've got Coleman and Patterson, but no. Centre of midfield, the combination at the minute has been Garner Gay, and it is James Garner now because you don't have to play left back because Mikalenko's back. So Garner Gay and James Garner. Centre of the attacking position in front of those two centre midfielders, that's Dewsbury Hall, but Alcaraz is competing for that position. But Dewsbury Hall's got it because he's been fantastic. So he's always got the number 10. Alcaraz wants it, though. On the left, it's Jack Grealish. When we signed Jack Grealish, we wasn't sure what would happen with Iliman Ndiaye because he was on the left, but Iliman Ndiaye has been moved to the right. So Jack Grealish he's going to play on the left. Iliman Ndiaye, he's going to play on the right. And then striker, like I say, it's been Beto or Barry, but it's been, if they've had a bad game, it could swap. And Beto didn't play well last game, so I'm interested who that could be out of the two. Likely might be Beto, but Beto didn't play well, so Moyes could drop him for Barry.
Okay. And before we get on to score predictions, Dan, would you take a draw if I said to you right now? I'm interested to hear your answer.
No, definitely not.
No?
No, because if I had a draw, I'd say fair enough. It's not bad against these because they are a good team. But I think if we are, as we spoke about earlier, to become a Europa League team, you've got to beat some of the big teams that challenge for Europa League. And
especially at home.
I know it would be punching, but we're unbeaten at home. There's no reason why we can't go and win that game. And I just really do believe we can win it. I really do. But if, like you say, would I accept a draw? Yes, but I'm not going for a draw.
Love it. Fair enough. Can I get your score prediction and also your scorers, please, Dan?
Oh, I'll be doing this on my show, so I've got to get this right, I know, as well. So score prediction is early for me. It's normally the night before the game.
It's tough.
I'm going to go for 3-2, because I think there'll be a lot of goals. I really do. It's mad because you have got a lot of good midfielders, so there might not be many goals. It could be a 0-0, but I just believe there's going to be goals. So 3-2. Your goal scorers will be Kudus and probably Benteke, maybe. He might pop up again, like last game. And then for us, our 3 goals, I will go for Dewsbury Hall will score. I think Beto will get one. I'm hoping he does because he needs the confidence. And then I'm going to go for a centre-back. Actually, I'll go for a centre-back that's playing right-back, Jake O'Brien. They're my goal scorers. So Jake O'Brien.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we get on to some end of season predictions, got a few questions about kind of you as an Everton fan and the history behind it. So firstly, do you have an earliest memory supporting Everton?
I can't remember. I couldn't remember. See, I was an Everton fan that wasn't a local. A lot of people when I grew up playing football supported Liverpool. Even some of my cousins supported Liverpool, and I wanted to go against that. I did. So I went for Everton. I did, and I supported Everton when no one supported Everton around my area at all. But there was a lot of Liverpool fans, but Everton wasn't doing that well at that time. So I supported Everton, and it took me about 10 years to actually get to an Everton game because it was 3 hours away. It took me about 10 years, and I was young anyway, so it took me about 10 years to get to a game. So I'd watched Everton for 10 years, and then on TV, and then my mum and I can't remember, one of my cousins took me. And then when I went in there, just the feeling, do you know what I mean? You've been connected to something for 10 years, but you've not actually been to the stadium and the ground. I went to Goodison Park and all of you in there. It was just incredible. And I can't even remember what game it was. That's the mad thing, you know what I mean? But that was just stays with me, that game. I can't remember what game it was, but I'd say that was the best experience, just as the story of being connected to that club so long and then going into a stadium with 38,000 people that all feel the same way. But I've been to some cracking games, some FA Cup games. The game that will always stay with me, though, will be, and I think it will be the best one, Harry, will be my daughter's first game. I took her to the Bournemouth game where we're in a relegation battle and it's my daughter's first game. And if we lose to Bournemouth and Leicester win, we go down. And we managed to beat Bournemouth. Do you know what I mean? Like we beat them. And I was in the stadium, and there's Everton fans all over, and there was like, Leicester's just scored, and we was drawing at the time. And when Leicester scored, it meant that if we don't win, we're getting relegated. That's how we felt in the stadium. So there's like, Leicester just scored. Oh, we're going down. It's 0-0. If we don't score, we're in the Championship. We know it. It's the last game. If we don't score, we're in the Championship. And we're all in the stadium, and we know if we don't score, we're down. It's not guaranteed to get a goal. You know that, especially against Bournemouth for us. And Decoy out of nowhere popped up and scored that goal. It's my daughter's first game. I was looking up to heaven. So that, because I don't think the new stadium would have happened, because it would have affected the new stadium. And it was a rough time for us anyway, because of Premier League trying to give us point deductions. If we didn't stay up there, now I think our club would have got liquidated. So that game, in many ways, will stay with me forever, because it kept Everton Football Club alive. And I got to go to that game with my daughter as well for a first game. That's the game.
That's nice. Yeah, I love that. It's good. It brings you together.
It's not a cup. It's not a cup, is it? One day it's got to be a cup, hasn't it? Like winning a cup, but that was special.
No, it's nice. And Everton, the people's club, that's what it's all about, memories and bring people together. And I was going to ask you your favourite, so I'm not going to now. But now, Dan, this present day, what does Everton mean to you? Of course, this is always hard to put into words. This is why I ask, because I used to get asked, what does Spurs mean to you? And it's really hard to put into words. How would you define it? If someone said to you, look, Dan, how much does Everton Football Club mean to you?
Well, the thing is, like, I'm a 36-year-old man, and to be obsessed with something that much it's a little bit worrying. But I mean, at one point, I've had some dreams about Everton players. I go to sleep sometimes if a game's late on, and I'm thinking about the game. And sometimes before the game, I'm thinking what the result's going to be, and I dream about Everton. That's how much I'm obsessed with them. They do pop in my dreams. I've gone out shopping with Jack Grealish before, just lately. I think about them way too much. I even think about them in my dreams.
I love
honestly.
That.
But yeah, if you think about it, from when you supported that football club, you've been in a relationship with them for them, haven't you? It's like a relationship, and you love your football club, and it's the longest relationship you'll ever have in your life, probably, because you probably supported that football club before you've even got with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever you've got. But it's the longest relationship of your life. So, and it's something I think, when you've done something for so long, when you've continuously watched them, it all can't be for nothing, can it? You haven't continuously every Saturday or Sunday dedicated your time of 90 minutes to that football club for that many years. If you add up how many times we've watched our football club, that's a love and that's a passion. Some people will never understand football, but it is massive. And football does connect a lot of people as well. That's why I always say with women's football as well. Women's football can connect. It can connect. Like, I used to coach a lot of football and be in football and stuff like that. And I used to see some people that was proper manly that didn't connect with the daughter that well. And then all of a sudden, through football, it would connect a dad to his daughter because he loved football and it broke the barrier, and then it got him close to his daughter, because that's what I mean. Football is massive in many ways, but to me, Everton's just, I love it. And I'm not a local, but I know a lot of local, and they all love me and I love them. So luckily, I've connected to that football club, and I've been accepted as well. And I do the Toffee Bluecast as well. And I used to get a few trolls, but now everyone knows how much I love Everton. Sometimes you get questioned if you're not a local, but I think when they see how much you love your football club continuously before and after the games, they can't question it. And I do love Everton, mate, as much as you do Spurs, because I know you're obsessed.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, at the same time, you will know if you're not getting trolls, then you're doing something wrong, because people are going to be jealous if things are going well and want to have part of that, have a share in it, want to compete with that. But of course, you have to prove your way, if you like. And there are always people that are difficult at the start. Before we do get to some end of season predictions, I've got two more questions. The first one, I think you'll be able to know what the second one is from the first one. But the first one is, what's your all-time favourite Everton player and why?
My all-time Everton. See, I don't go history as far back as some people. Some people have got Everton history where they've won trophies. So some people's Everton favourite players would be the ones that have actually won trophies, like Peter Reid and all that. And that goes way back. Everton have got a lot of history and have won trophies back in the day. But mine is Tim Cahill, Mr. Corner Flag Man. Tim Cahill. is just. And he follows me on Twitter as well, Tim Cahill. He doesn't really message me, but he does follow me on Twitter, which I like. And he's just my favourite. I love him, Tim Cahill. I was gutted when he retired as well. I didn't want him to ever retire. And he still loves Everton now. He's always retweeting stuff. He's just, the fans really connected with Tim Cahill, and I did as well. Do you know where someone bleeds your club? Tim Cahill was always, when you're a fan and stuff were going wrong, if you're shouting for a player to help, that's the player. And Tim Cahill was one. If stuff's going wrong, Tim Cahill was a football player where he's a football player, but he was also a fan of the club. Do you know what I mean? He felt it. He got it. And I think when you've got someone on the pitch that feels how you feel, and they're on the pitch, they're you. And Tim Cahill was like that. You feel like he was you. So he had your passion. So you always knew you were safe because what you was feeling, Tim Cahill was feeling. And I think as a fan, if you can connect to it, if you can get a player that makes you feel like he connects with you, it's massive. And Tim Cahill, best celebration ever, punching that corner flag. And he was a good player as well.
Love that. That's good. Good he follows you back as well. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always like to listen to him now as a pundit. And the last kind of question before we do finish with those predictions, favourite Everton manager of all times? You're giving you a player.
See, I don't go far back to these managers that have won all the trophies, to be fair. And I have been an Everton fan. I think I supported them in 2000, so I supported them 25 years. But before that, we had Howard Kendall that was won all the trophies and everything. And when you support a football team, you catch up on what you didn't have. And I've gone through on the channel all the history. So I've had some old school Everton fans on that have told me what Everton used to be and how they used to be under Howard Kendall and stuff. And he's the manager that when I look back, think, wow, he was a player and then he went to be a manager and then he won so much. He's a manager that I wish I supported him when he was the manager. But David Moyes would be for me. Yeah, he would be. Because when I supported him in, 2000, David Moyes was a manager back then and he smashed it.
It's a good shout. A couple of spells at the club. And
it doesn't even sound like a big manager name, does it, David Moyes? But he didn't do too bad with us.
Well, that's the thing. And he had a really good first spell. And I think he'll have even better second spell. So I don't think it's a bad shout at all. I've been, my short lifetime, from an Everton point of view, I'd look at it and definitely say David Moyes. Can I actually ask to throw in another question? Carlo Ancelotti, obviously for a brief period, was your manager. What do you make of that time looking back? I mean, it must be quite crazy when you look back and like James Rodriguez at the club.
I did think about Carlo Ancelotti, but he did well with us, but then he dipped off. He had his top four halfway through the season, then dipped off. And he did bring a few players on high wages and stuff like that, which probably messed us up financially further down the line. Whether we would have been sustainable with Carlo Ancelotti, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? With our financial situation, he did fantastic with us. He did, but I love him. Everton fans will love him. We'll always love him. We will, and I'm so happy we had him. But I think we always knew it wasn't going to be long, if you know what I mean. So I can't. There's never felt like there'd be a future of him, like he was going to move on eventually. But it was a pinch yourself moment that you had Carlo Ancelotti that had won all that as your manager, but we didn't spend as much as you need to spend with Carlo Ancelotti. You've got to spend a lot of money, and that's why he went back to Real Madrid. He needs big boy players, doesn't he? Maybe in the future, when this new stadium gets us a lot of money, Carlo Ancelotti would have been perfect. But we need a gritty manager, and David Moyes can handle all players. I think that's the key thing with Moyes is he can bring out the best. Moyes has been through it all, hasn't he? So if you've got some weaker players, he seems to be able to get the best out of them as well as these elite players.
Yeah, it's a really good shout, actually. Thank you. That's interesting. Yeah, exactly. But David Moyes tops that for you. End of season predictions then. Let's start with my club, Tottenham. Where do you think they're finished in the Premier League? You speak about your kind of, fondness of Thomas Frank. Where are they finished though?
I've said that you should be getting top four. I've said that to a few people that I spoke to the Tottenham fans. I think you should be getting top four with the players that you've got. I really do. I think the manager's the difference to me. I probably wouldn't be saying that if you hadn't got that manager, but I think first season, a lot of pressure, but I think he'll do well. What worries me, I meant to have said it earlier on the channel, your striker situation a little bit. This new lad played for you up front. He's young. He did score, but he didn't look good the last game I watched him, and he did end up coming off. Whether he's got the experience, that is what I'm looking at for you, isn't it? It's when I'm looking at some of these elite clubs. When I watch what Haaland did towards last game, that is the difference. Sometimes the striker can be the difference. So you need a striker that's going to get you 30 goals. Have you got him? Is there going to be someone that pops up and does that?
Well, Dan, this will, I mean, might not surprise you, but we have 5 strikers actually at the club, and it isn't talked about enough. So you've got, your Dominic Solanke, your Richarlison, your new Colin this year, but also you've got, which I think you're referring to, Matthias Tell, who, what I find bizarre is Frank's like, oh, he's a left winger, but he's only ever really started him out of memory anyway as a 9. So I might have got that quite wrong, but he's really started it as a striker. And then you've got Dane Scarlett, who, I mean, understandably isn't going to get a sniff when you've got those strikers. But the issue is that one, he's been out with a dead leg for about 5-6 games, now just coming back, or has come back. Richarlison, as you will know, great player, but he's going to get injured at some point, and he's going to take dips in form, even if you get a lot out of him. And Dominic Solanke really isn't the player we signed from Bournemouth, if I'm totally honest. And Tell, as you said, it is early days, he is young, and he played well against Leeds, he's done well in the international break with the France under-21s, but we're yet to really see anything of a high level, and hence why he's been left out of the Champions League squad. So Tottenham find themselves in a difficult situation, not knowing really who to start. Like, let's use Monaco, for example. At the time of recording, by the way, we record this on the day that Tottenham played Monaco. I don't know what Tottenham are going to go with. Do they go with Moani, who's just come back? Solanke is out. It's in a difficult situation. Who do you see, Dan, from an outsider point of view, being that striker that kind of, when everyone's fit, makes that number 9 position theirs in this Tottenham team?
You think of Brentford? Who did he play up front for Brentford? Was it Visser or someone like that? So he likes energy, I think, doesn't he?
It was Visser after Tony, but what's interesting is Visser used to be, of course, a left winger, and Frank went, do you know what? You could be a striker when Tony left, and fair play to Frank. He literally converted him into a striker. You wouldn't know it now.
But when you think about it, you just mentioned that he did have Tony before that. So he's used to a big centre forward. So it's not just energy that he's used to. So he has dealt with a big centre forward, which would be Solanke for you, Tony, that he had. And he has dealt with energy strikers and Visser. He does bring the best out of strikers. I mean, he even got frigging Mopai scoring for him from us. He's got him scoring a few goals. I think that your best striker, I'd like to say Solanke, and so would you, the amount you paid for him, but it's not gone the way you want. Solanke should be a big, strong striker scoring a lot of goals like Haaland scoring for other teams for how much you paid for him, but it just seems that he isn't. Maybe the price tag's knocked his confidence or something. He should be your main striker with what you paid for him.
Should be.
The other one that you've got, that you mentioned, I'm not sure much about him. I'm sure you'll say his name is Kolo or whatever his name is.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, Colin Moani. So from PSG, Juventus he's been at, but I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him. He's either going to be one of those, isn't he, that hits the ground running, is going to be really good, or just like, no, not at all.
Richarlison, I would say him, but I still think he played very well on the left wing for us. And I think he can play for you in a lot of positions. So I wouldn't just have him as your main striker. Do you know what I mean? That's why I can't just say he's going to be. And he has still got to prove that he don't.
We need a left winger. So. That's the thing. We didn't replace someone. We need someone to take that left wing position by graft. Can it be Richarlison?
Fantastic. Yeah. He honestly, he unreal for us on the left wing. And the good thing when he used to play left wing for us, sometimes he joined up with a striker and he got Calvert-Lewin, who I don't rate and I'm happy he's left, had his best season with Richarlison because Richarlison got him a lot of goals. And Richarlison can be good on the left wing. And if you're saying struggling for a left winger, that is a good option for you.
I wonder if we try that. I haven't seen the lineup for tonight, but I wonder if Frank will try that, whether it be in Europe or in the league. Or that's the thing of beauty in the way, but also maybe a bad thing. But I'd argue more a good thing that we play across a lot of competitions. You start still in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup yet to play, Champions League, Premier League, opportunity to trial these things.
How do you feel on the injuries this season? Because I know that was probably one of the worst teams I've ever seen get affected by injuries last season. Like, I couldn't believe how many injuries you got. Do you feel that that's going to happen again, or do you feel it was a one-season blip because it was mad?
I've been saying
you've got the same players, haven't you? So do you feel these players are not going to happen again?
Listen, I don't want to jinx anything for goodness sake, but I've been saying a one kind of season off, well, 2 seasons off, because it's Ange, because of the gun ho football, and I didn't realise it in the moment, but I look back and go highlighting, the type of training, and it just what makes you think that is Forest conceded so many set piece goals. Well, they did under Ange, same as Tottenham, and they got a few injuries while I was there, so it just feels like. And if you look at Ange's career, it seems like I don't mean it horribly, but it's a him kind of thing, or maybe it's that he's not supplied with the players, and that's up for debate. But then, like, before we were recording here, Tottenham were about 10 players with a trip to Monaco. And to give people a little bit of context, number was 6 48 hours ago. So something bizarre, has gone on, in case of Ben Davies got injured and Basuma on international duty. I don't know what, we've got a case of Romero and a doggy that Romero pulled up in the warm-up, which is crazy. He played for a private jet for him to come back, pulls up, and a doggy's irritation. So I would say 1 season off, Dan, but the injuries are creeping back in. I think there'll be less of it, though. We use the likes of Richarlison, who since he's joined Tottenham hasn't really been fit. And when he has, what he'd do is he'd play well, then get injured. And he'd come back, it taking some time. It's really frustrating. Unfortunately, with Richarlison and Tottenham, it's become predictable, where he'll have a couple of good games, go off it slightly, and then he'd probably get better and then get injured again. It's frustrating. It always seems to be against him for loads of different things. He's been quite open about that.
I think
so
when you've got
tough.
because you had so many injuries, you're pushing players back too early sometimes as well.
Hopefully no Archie Gray at centre back or left back this year. So I think it won't be as bad. I think it'll be injuries. Every club gets that. And we are prepared more than we were last year. But then I just think like Son, right? Iconic. What a player. Legend of this club in my opinion. And you haven't even replaced him. We didn't sign a single left winger. I can't understand that really.
That is a big reason why I said earlier on your show that I do think we've got a massive chance for Europa League, because I used to look at our bench. We had 4 goalkeepers on the bench. We had no subs, no squad. We had to pull in the under-21s on the bench. But now we didn't even mention it. Tyler Diblin was signed as well. I mean, he's
huge name.
Yeah,
I wanted him.
Yeah. So when Njai can't play because he's got the international stuff coming up, we've got Tyler Diblin's coming. Like I say, Dewsbury and Elcarez, 2 number 10s. We went from having no number 10s to 2 number 10s now that we like.
And 2 good 10s as
Grealish, well. And Grealish we've got on the left, but we used to have McNeil there. McNeil's backup. McNeil can't even get in. So all over the pitch now, there's really good competition. So I'm really happy about it. We've got a big squad now, so we can do well. We have got a really big squad, backup, cover. And even if we did get an injury, I feel that we're okay. Don't want to curse it. We're okay for a player to come in and be decent now, not actually think we're crap because that player's out.
Exactly that. So, hopefully you don't suffer too many injuries. Well, neither club do. But my last question for you, Dan, is where you think Everton will finish in the Premier League. Do you think you'll get that 7th place that you're suggesting?
I honestly do believe that we are going to win the Premier League, mate. 100%. Going to win the Premier League. I know we've had a little bit of setbacks. We didn't beat Manchester City, but I do think that top spot is my that's my aim, to win the Premier League this season. I'd love to win the Premier League. We're going to win the Premier League. It's going to happen. Get ready. But you never know. But Liverpool have gone back to how they should have been. Liverpool was getting away with it. There was lucky. There was winning games that they shouldn't have been winning. And I said eventually it'll catch up with them because they're not as good as what I've seen them before. And I wasn't just saying next to my rivals. I was saying it. And Liverpool don't look like they're going to run away with the league this season. Man City, they're on the way up, but not 100%. Newcastle, I think Newcastle are strong this season, by the way. I do. But give me a team that you think is going to win the league. That's the question you've got to ask.
I think Arsenal and Chelsea are really, really strong. Yeah. Chelsea aren't being talked about. I just think they got 11 men on the pitch. Chelsea look very strong, and Arsenal look a little bit different this year. So do you think Everton could challenge the likes of Liverpool?
I think they'll probably will finish above us, but I pray to God that they don't. We smash them all. But if we did get Europa League conference, it's fantastic for us to get a cup. You've got to realise you've got to climb the mountain. You can't just end up on top. And I do realise that I'm not deluded in that, but I'd love us for us to overachieve and win the league, or overachieve and I say win the league because who wouldn't? I'm asking myself, would I not want to win the league? Of course I would. That's your aim. At the start of the season, I don't care who you are. Your aim is to just win as many games as you can and win the league. That's your aim. No matter who you are, I think every team wants to win the league.
But clubs don't look at it like that. You're right, they should, but they don't, do they?
Yeah.
You can tell the
Yeah,
way
you
they set up.
don't worry about any other clubs or what they're going to do. All you got to think to yourself: if we keep winning our games, we'll be at the top end of the table and might even win the league. That's all you got to think. I think that we'll probably finish seriously. I think fifth. I think fifth, and I think that could. You know what I mean? That would be a cracking season for us, and that's me going at the highest. Fifth is more achievable.
That's
But
bold.
I'm
I
going
want to know
for
what Bournemouth and Palace as well can do, because I had three teams that I wanted to know where they'd finish this year, like in particular, and they were Bournemouth, Palace, and Everton. I think we're going to have good seasons, but where is it? Europe? Is it outside Europe? Is it top half? That's the question. So I don't know where those two clubs
There's
will
a
be.
lot competing for it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Where do you think Spurs is going to finish this season? Because you asked me
Great
that question. I'll
question.
put that back on you. I know I shouldn't put it back, but I should.
No, you absolutely should. No, it's not a problem with that. I really like Thomas Frank. I want him. I just think that it's going to be a case of a season where if he was just focused on the league, Dan, I'd agree with you, top four. But I think Frankel has been told, and he will, because that's his type of guy he is. He wants the job. He'll try and manage and try and progress in the Champions League. It'd be the same with the Carabao Cup and FA Cup. So in my head, I'm thinking Tottenham can, go through to the next round of the Champions League. Let's say quarter-final Carabao Cup, similar in the FA Cup. I don't think we can do as well in the league. So I'm thinking 6th or 7th, if I'm totally honest with you. And it's more because I think of the competition. We talk about Bournemouth, Palace, Everton. I think there's going to be real depth. Newcastle haven't started brilliantly in the Premier League anyway, but like you said, they look good and they are going to come back. So I'd lean towards like a 6th place, but I don't think that's disastrous. I think it'll be a progressive first season. It's a lot better than 17th. I know no trophy, but I think in other competitions we do well. So of course it's always context.
I wonder if there's
Place.
I wonder if there's pressure on him because your other manager did win a cup. I hope they don't expect him to win a cup straight away.
I don't.
Because I feel now you've gone and won a cup. You've done it. You've got everyone off your back. But I feel now for Tottenham, your aim should be is to actually start competing for the league every season. Do you know what I mean? Do you know whether like Liverpool have been continuously competing for the league, Man City a bit? I honestly think Spurs should be up there competing to actually win the league. Your aim should be to win the league. I think you should be in talk to win the league with the players that you've got. That should be your aim. If Spurs was around top four and you want to be in a shout at winning the Premier League now. You've won your trophy in the cups, but the Premier League's what you want now, isn't it? Surely. You've got to try and build yourself up to... And it might not be this season, I don't know. But I think if you could have a good season this season, like I said, where you finish 4th, and you bring in some strong players again, and you have another good season where you finish 3rd or 2nd, that's how you start competing for the title, isn't it?
I agree with the way you're looking at it, Dan, but you can't win the league if you're drawing to Wolves at home. And, Villa are a great side, but if you lose that type of game and someone that's going to be in and around you, that's the thing. We haven't even mentioned Aston Villa. They're on an epic run at the moment just because they find themselves at mid-table. They're flying. They're the club in form in the last 6 kind of games. So it's going to be tough. There's going to be competition. Tottenham will feel it. Everton will feel it. But have you got anything to say, Dan, before we wrap up?
No, that's it, mate. Really enjoyed being on your show. Looking forward to the game. I'm hoping that we spank you, to be fair. And then, obviously, you might not finish top 4 if we do that. It'll be ours.
Yeah, exactly. Where can people follow you, Dan, on the socials? Really appreciate you coming on.
So it's just the name Toffee Bluecast, as it says there, Toffee Bluecast. And like I say, we've got a YouTube channel, we've got a Facebook, and we're on TikTok as well, which I do some funny stuff on that, to be fair. But we do have a laugh, and we are entertaining. So just find us on that. And if you drop us a subscribe, we'll pop up regular for you to see. And it's normally Paul that's always my sidekick. We do all the shows together. There's 2 of us, and we do it all together and get guests on as much as we can.
Love it. You both do some great work. So thank you very, very much. Keep up all that you do. But thank you, everyone that's listened, that's watched. Hope you did enjoy this opposition preview. You know I am. I'm Harry Scarfe. I'm your host as always. You can follow me if you like at Harry Scarfe32 across all socials. Most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the Toffee Bluecast. You check out Dan and his channel and his podcast. Also, if you're interested here, you can subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on audio platform, drop us a follow and a 5-star review. Thank you for always the support recently. It's been massively appreciated. But for now, come you Spurs and enjoy the game.